So let's get into this. Pope Francis passed away on April 21st, 2025.
Yeah, it was just the day after he'd given that Easter blessing, which felt, quite poignant.
It really did. And Cardinal Kevin Farrell released a statement really focusing on the Pope's courage and his love for everyone, especially those on the margins.
Which leads us straight into the main event for this deep dive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The funeral, April 26th.
Exactly, Vatican City. And what struck me immediately, looking at our source material, was just the sheer range of world figures who showed up.
It wasn't just the expected religious figures. You had major political leaders, royalty.
Hmm.
It was a really broad spectrum.
Absolutely. I mean, the source highlights President Donald Trump and former President Joe Biden were both there.
And their wives, Melania Trump and Dr. Jill Biden.
Right. And representing the British royal family, Prince William, just picturing all of them in one place. It's quite something.
It really is. It sort of makes you pause and think about the kind of, unifying figure Pope Francis must have been.
To bring together people who, let's be honest, often sit on very different sides of the political aisle.
Both in the U.S. and, well, globally, too.
Let's focus on the royal side for a second. Prince William attending on behalf of King Charles III.
Mm-hmm. And the source gives that context about King Charles's health, the cancer diagnosis back in 2024.
Right, which explains why William would be the one to go. It makes sense.
And, given the sometimes complex history between the British Crown and the Vatican, having the heir there,
Yeah.
well, it sends a pretty strong signal of respect for Pope Francis specifically. It feels like it goes beyond just protocol.
Especially with the king himself being unwell. It underlines the importance they placed on it.
Definitely. And King Charles put out his own statement, too.
Ah, yes. The source mentions that he and Queen Camilla spoke of their deep sadness.
But also found some comfort, apparently, in knowing the Pope had managed that Easter blessing.
And he mentioned meeting Pope Francis, including quite recently, just earlier in April.
Right. And this is the bit that really stood out to me, King Charles, praising the Pope's compassion, his focus on church unity, and his tireless commitment, as the statement put it, to the common causes of all people of faith and to those of goodwill.
That's powerful, isn't it? Coming from the head of the Church of England about the Pope.
Exactly. It speaks to Pope Francis's ability to sort of bridge those divides, focus on shared human values, that ecumenical aspect.
Okay, let's shift to the American side of things. Donald Trump's reaction was pretty brief.
Yeah, just that short message on Truth Social, wasn't it? May God bless him and all who loved him.
Concise.
Very. Stands in, shall we say, contrast to some others.
Yeah.
I wonder what that tells you. Or maybe it's just his style.
Well, compare that to Joe Biden. He seemed to offer a much more personal reflection.
He did. That Instagram post with the photo of them together.
Yeah, calling Pope Francis unlike any who came before him.
And one of the most consequential leaders of our time. That's quite a tribute.
He also added that he felt he was better for having known him. That personal touch again.
It seems like that personal impact was a real theme. It suggests Francis connected with these leaders on maybe a deeper level than just diplomacy.
Influencing them personally, perhaps?
Could be. It certainly feels like more than just, standard diplomatic condolences.
Now, there were other key figures there, too, besides the British and American.
Right. The source lists French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte.
And it mentions they arrived arm in arm. Also, Estonia's president, Alar Karis.
And Spain's King Felipe VI. Quite a European contingent.
There's also that little visual detail. The source mentions Joe and Jill Biden holding hands, the Macrons arm in arm, and then Donald and Melania Trump seated next to President Karis and King Felipe.
Those details, while maybe small, they kind of paint a picture of the scene, don't they? The different relationships, the protocol.
The presence of all those European leaders really highlights the Vatican's continued influence there, too.
For sure. And their respect for Francis's leadership. The seating, well, it's probably just protocol, but it subtly shows that web of international connections all converging right there.
So if we pull back, look at the whole thing, what's the real takeaway from seeing this specific mix of people? Political rivals, royalty, different nations, all there.
I think it strongly suggests Pope Francis had this unique kind of global influence. It wasn't just political power in the usual sense.
More like a moral or spiritual authority.
Exactly. The fact that all these very different leaders felt it was important to be there personally It says a lot.
It suggests his impact went way beyond just Catholic.
Absolutely. It seems he tapped into something about global ethics, shared values, that made even secular leaders want to pay their respects.
It really does show the unique position a religious leader can occupy on the world stage.
hmm Someone capable of drawing people together who might not otherwise share the same space, let alone the same worldview.
It makes you ask, what was it about him specifically?
That's the question, isn't it? How did he manage to bridge so many divides and earn that level of respect across the board? It wasn't just about doctrine. It felt more perhaps universal.
So, wrapping this up then, we saw this incredible convergence of global figures, royalty, presidents, past and present, all gathered to mourn Pope Francis.
And the sheer diversity of that group really underscores the depth and breadth of his impact, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It shows how his work resonated far beyond the Vatican walls.
Yeah, what this event really highlights, I think, is the unique kind of influence a figure like that can have today. It's a powerful testament to the respect he commanded globally.
Okay, so here's something maybe to think about after this. Considering all those different people there, some with, let's face it, quite complicated relationships, what does their collective presence really tell us about the power of a religious leader, or maybe just certain individuals, to create these moments? Moments that kind of cut through the usual political noise and social divisions.
Does it point towards some shared human values that surface at times like these?
Exactly. Something that maybe transcends the everyday divides. It definitely leaves you with something to ponder.